That's just boiled right on the edge of the snag. I'm just walking back rather than trying to reel in. It doesn't look like one of the old ones. I'm just fishing locked up. Lovely. That's a dark 15 pounder. This is a little stocky. Just about to photograph these two. And this one's gone off, but this feels, for all it's worth, like a little tench. I think we'll do the fresh one first. Get that done. There we go. So hold it like that. I got down late last night. It's not really that sort of water that we're fishing. We're expecting a few bites, but I managed to catch one through the night, and I've also caught one just before Harry got here. So we've got another one to photograph. The one in the night I've obviously done at the time. And we've got another one to do now after this. Great start. That's really unusual, isn't it? I don't think I've quite seen a common like that before. Well, this is the one that I caught just before the cameraman got here. Proper old common, real typical estate lake fish. Lovely and dark, old as the hills, and a real scrapper. Very unusual scaling.
We haven't even filmed an intro yet, have we?
Hi, I'm Matt Eaton from Gardner Tackle, and I've teamed up with the Tackle Box to bring you an in-session piece from this beautiful little estate lake. Although this was planned as a 24-hour trip, it's actually turning into a 36-hour session because I came down late last night. I got it just before dark, got the rods out just before the light went, and I was actually lucky enough to catch a nice common during the night. And then when Harry arrived to do the filming this morning, that coincided with the mayhem beginning. I had a carp just before he got here, another one just after he got here, and a tench as well. So we had rods everywhere, carnage in the swim, but we finally sorted it all out now. The aim of the session is to show you how I'd approach a small water, and in particular an estate lake, and show you some of the tactics and methods I use to overcome some of the issues and problems that this sort of venue presents. I'm going to take the opportunity now to scoot over the other side and base up from over there. I can reach from this side with a catapult, but by going round there I can bait all the way along the front of the pads. I can get the exact spread along the pads that I want. When it comes to mounting pop-ups, I'm a bit old-fashioned and I still like to tie mine on. I'm not averse to piercing them in some circumstances, but when my bait's going to be out there possibly for a long time, up to 24 hours, I'd prefer to tie them on just because I get a more consistent buoyancy for longer. And also it will withstand the attentions of nuisance fish much better than a pierced one will do. I don't know if that's irresponsible to film that or not. Only sharpening. The points, if you sharpen your hooks, they can deteriorate over time, out the water and in the water. Some lakes are different to others. Some lakes you'll find that your hook points go black, and other lakes they don't. But as we're fishing in a state lake, which tend to be a little bit acidic, Just a little bit of point shield on there, prevent any rust from taking hold or any deterioration or oxidisation. Let it dry before I cast it out. Now, because I'm fishing to an overhang, I don't really know what's underneath it, but probably all sorts of branches and twigs. It's essential that I've got my clutches screwed up really tight. So every time I put the rod back out, check the clutch is nice and tight and the fish can't take any line on the bite. Now the lake that I'm fishing for this session is a typical estate lake, i.e. it's a dammed stream, so it's shallow at one end and getting gradually deeper towards a dam wall. It's very small and intimate, and it's got snags. It's surrounded by rhododendrons, so you've got lots of overhangs to fish to and lots of lily pads. What makes the lake so special, apart from the aesthetics and it being such a nice place to be, is the small stock of carp that live here. It was originally stocked by Donald Leaney, who lived quite close by many years ago, and although there's little chance of any of those fish being around, it's had several stockings over the years since. Now you've got a fair proportion of the stock have been introduced in the last few years, but what you do have is just a handful of very special, very old carp that are around about the 50-year-old mark. Another really nice thing about this lake is that it doesn't get too much attention from carp anglers, and there's a very good reason for that. It's very heavily stocked with bream and quite heavily stocked with tench as well, and they can be a real pain. So a lot of the way I have to fish this lake is in a way that avoids the attentions of the nuisance species while still giving myself the best chance of catching a carp. Even though the rain's passed by and the sun's come out, a great big strong westerly's blown up, and it's so strong that I've had to batten down the hatches and put storm rods on the front of the brolly. In my experience, carp in smaller waters are less affected by the wind direction, the wind strength, than they are in bigger lakes. However, we are right in the middle of a heat wave and we've just got this sudden windy day. It's been flat calm for weeks really, and suddenly we've got a big wind. So I've got to keep in mind that this may push some of the fish up to the car park end on the end of the wind. I can see that up there from my swim, so I'm going to sit out there and keep an eye on that area, and if I start seeing fish show, keep in mind that I might have to move up there. It's late afternoon now, nothing's happened since this morning, so it's time. I reeled in, went for a little walk round, see if I can find some fish elsewhere, and I might have a look for a stalking opportunity while I go. So I've got a little bit of bait with me, hopefully we'll come across some fish in the edge somewhere. I've never seen fish in there, but it is the sort of place where you'd expect to see them in the edge. This area here, just off this snag, is an area where I've seen quite often. So it's worth just putting a few baits down there, because I might not see them now. It's just worth putting a few little chops down there, and then if they go, I'll know there's fish in this area, either in the snag or in the pads to the right here. I've just seen one down here in the snags. It just came scooting through. I don't think it saw me, but it wasn't hanging about. We've just come down to the area right down by the dam wall, which is on the back of the wind. And me saying that I thought there was a possibility that fish might have followed the wind, but it looks like they've done completely the opposite thing. We've come down to this bank. In that corner there's a snag. I've seen one fish there, a decent one, but only one. And I've just come over to the opposite corner of the dam wall, and I've seen probably, I can't say exactly how many because they're really active and it looks like they're feeding as well, but I think there's probably half a dozen fish here, which is, you know, a decent amount of the stock in here, so it certainly looks like a movie's on the cards. I've seen one very nice one, not particularly dark in colour, sort of an orangey colour, which happens to be the colour of the one that I really want to catch. I can't see clearly enough, but it's also known to come from this area, so really it's a no-brainer. I'm going to have to move down here. I better do it quick. Oh, this is exciting again, isn't it? On small waters, I'll often find small pockets of fish rather than one big group, so a mobile approach does pay off, particularly if you've caught a couple, and that can often be it. So I'm on the move now, I've found some fish elsewhere. When I'm moving on a little water, it's often not a long way between swims, so although I'll barrow most of my kit, I often find it's quicker to leave the rods ready made up and just do a separate trip with the rods. That way they're ready to go in the brand new swim. You might question how safe that is casting actually into the pads, or not right into the pads, but past the first few. But the reason I've done that is because one, all the pads are wadeable, so if I did get a fish stuck in there, I could go in and get it out. But two, there's a snag to the left, and if I'm just on the edge, the fish could easily kite left and straight into the snag, whereas if there's some pads to the left of it, it can't actually get in there, so it would only go into the pads. And the pads aren't that strong, they break up quite easily. I don't tend to use wrapping sticks. I'll still use microelastic and count the turns of the reel handle. Lead's going to go in there, but I'm going to lift it back up and drop it in front of the snag. For this rod, because I'm fishing in amongst the pads and it's going to be difficult to put a rig back in exactly the same place, I'm baiting throughout the pads so that I can get fish, hopefully, moving about all through the pads and finding baits wherever they go in there. Got all the rods out just before dark and got them out without too much fuss. The fish are still there. It looks like they're still feeding as well. I was hoping for an early opportunity, maybe to nick a quick bite, but that's not happened. However, I'm hopeful for the night. But for now, it's time to chill out for a little bit, have a glass of wine, put some dinner on, and just enjoy the atmosphere. Certainly sounded like a carp, didn't it? I've got 3 little bankside housekeeping tips for you. Number 1, when you say you're going to do your washing up earlier in the day, do it, don't leave it till just before dinner. Number 2, when you go back to the car to get gas, make sure you actually get the gas out of the car before walking almost all the way back to the swim. And number 3, when you go to use the portaloo, make sure there's paper in it before you start. He was a junior videographer, just learning. That's all right. That's all right. Got dinner cooking away. Rod was bent around 90 degrees, but thankfully I'm not too tight at the snag. Able to get it away all right. I've seen some big fish down in this area. Lovely. Scattered random linear. Nice. Well, the hook's already out. Much as I don't really like barbless hooks, one of the upsides is that most of the time, once they're in the net, they tend to unhook themselves. Well, that was looking a little bit like I've made the wrong move by changing swims. Since I've been in the new swim, I've seen 2 fish show exactly where I was fishing, and another couple close by. I was not sure that I'd made the right move, but that's justified it. It's not the big one that I saw down there earlier, but it's only early on in the night now. I've woken up to bite on the rod to the right over to the pads, but it seems that the fish has got into the pads, and they're not that dense, the pads over there, they break up fairly easily, but it's solid, so it's all very wadeable. I've had it on a tight line for a little while, but nothing's moving. It's been a fairly eventful night. I had a bite just as I was cooking dinner. Managed to land a small mirror yesterday evening, and then middle of the night I had a bite on the left hand pads. Unfortunately that one managed to shed the hook on the way in. I'd got the fish moving, it was coming back towards me. I'd probably gained like 5-6 yards off it, but it slipped the hook, which is the reality of hit and hold fishing. You know, you can't let them have any line, you do have to bully them a little bit, and occasionally you do lose one, but I'd much rather lose a fish by it slipping the hook like that than it getting into a snag and getting tethered up and leaving tackle in it. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. And then early this morning I had a bite on the right hand rod, which is fished to a different set of pads, and not quite the same situation, but that one just was solid in the pads. But it's very wadeable out there, which is why I'm happy to fish in the pads, because I can go out and if a fish does get stuck in there, I can go out and get it out. But that one managed to transfer the hook straight into a thick, really thick pad stem. So in this swim, it's not been quite so successful. I've had 3 bites and 1 on each rod, so it's good from that way. It's good that I've not had any tension or bream problems, but I've managed to lose 2 of the fish. Thankfully I've not left any gear in them. But that is what small lake, like estate lake type fishing is all about. It's all about fishing snags and overhangs and lily pads, so you are fishing to obstructions. So you do have to be, not brutal at times, but you do have to be quite firm, and you know, you've got to try and get the fish out of there before they get in. So it's unfortunate, but we've got a couple of hours of the session left. We might get another chance before we go. Well, that bite came right out of the blue. Just had a little liner. I've sort of given up hope for the day because it's high pressure and hot. That's the rod that I lost one off in the night. One of the fish that I'm particularly keen to catch from here is very orange coloured, and we did see an orange one in there yesterday, and that looked quite orange when it came up. I'm hoping it might be that one. Well pleased with that one. That was looking like it was going to be all over. So that looks like one of the real nice ones. Well, what a fantastic end to this session with the tackle box cameras. Cracking dark mirror that came on the pads rod out of the blue. Pressure was high, we're getting to the end of the session, and thought we were going to wrap up. Tip bent round, and this lovely little fella's on the end. It's on the same rod that I lost a fish on last night, so it just goes to show that as long as you're using strong enough gear and you do things sensibly and safely for the fish, you can get them out from snaggy situations. But it's also known to come from this area, so really it's a no-brainer. I'm going to have to move down here.